kick too.
Mm-hmm. We are being joined now by Tim's iPhone. Hello, Timothy.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, dude? Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me like 30 seconds. I have my legs, I can barely walk, so I'm going to sit here in a Normatec suit while we talk.
Oh, damn.
That sounds right. I was hoping when you told us to hold on, so before you came on, we were wondering if you were going to be the first interview we did while you were in pursuit of a criminal. And so when you said, hold on 30 seconds, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. The bit has come to life.
Dude, it would be so awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, you missed. I just got out of helicopter a couple of minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
It's been a good business of late.
Jesus.
Lots of dumb people doing dumb things.
That's what keeps you happy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there should be a news bulletin to all kids in this next generation. Do not get in the road. Even if you're protesting and you think you're allowed to protest, don't do it. Cars way more than you. And
it sounds like a science podcast now. I love it. Mass distribution, momentum.
Velocity.
Simple thing. There you go.
I have so many thoughts. I have delicately put my political questions at the very end after I have charmed you with my questions about jiu-jitsu and weaponry. The first thing we have to ask you, because this is easy while you're getting set up, and Drew, I think I might be right since he just got out of a chopper and is at home.
No, I think I'm closer.
Okay, we took a bet before you came on. How many weapons are currently on your person?
Physically on me?
Physically on you.
1.
Damn it. I was so close. I guess 6.5.
Drew's a Canadian, so he assumes that every American is constantly carrying over 6 weapons.
Yeah.
You already just let my secret out of the bag. I'm sitting here with like Jocko protein in the background with an American flag rash guard on my person. Literally the Constitution's written on my arm. And you told him I'm a Canadian. Fuck it, Jamie.
Yeah. The moment you open your mouth and anybody sees your haircut, they're like, "Ah, he's Canadian, yeah."
Yeah, Tim, by the way, I tried to do I was trying to be charming over email.
Oh, Jamie just froze. I guess I'm gonna have to be charming. Uh-oh, this is awkward. Well, Jamie
is
gets
that possible?
unfroze. We're gonna try. I guess I'm known to be nice, so is nice charming? I don't know. We got the Normatec going on to Tim's legs so that he doesn't become paraplegic after jumping out of a helicopter.
Yeah, it's been a rough day. Hard training session, and I'm sitting here with Human Factors Considerations of Underground Insurgency 2nd edition. So that's good.
Just some light reading while you're trying to save your legs. Love it.
Yeah.
So
and then that little.
Oh, okay. So there's your one. Oh, you just tipped your hand. So all the assassins that are watching the stream are gonna know what they have to watch out for.
I mean, that's the one. I qualified the question with on my person. So in this room would be a different
within
thing.
arm's reach.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You'd have a go at it.
Well, I had guessed that you probably had a knife on your foot, a knife in your belt, a gun on your foot, a gun in your belt, a tourniquet, which could also double as a garrote, and a Raiders of the Lost Ark whip on your back.
I love all of those weapons. Yesterday, I was running around with a Matthews no-cam bow and a boar spear.
A boar spear?
So,
I didn't guess
that.
Yeah,
a boar spear. Like a 7-foot legit Botswana boar spear with a blood channel through it.
Oh, goddamn.
And yeah, it was epic. I did have a gun on me too, but the 2 primary and secondary weapons were projectile.
Love it. I guess you're in Texas, right? So boar spear might be a legitimate self-defense thing you need walking around the wild.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. There's places here where if you walk out at night into the wetlands, and you better be on your toes. They're not hunting for you. They're not predators. But if you spook them, they'll gore you and they'll run over you. We've had a few people killed by.
Oh my
Sorry,
God.
I had to decline a call. By boars. So
Wow.
wild hogs here. Yeah, a poor woman was gored to death in Houston.
Oof.
Could you imagine?
What a way to go.
How do you tell your family? Yes, she was
Killed by
bored to
bacon.
death by yeah.
This is so weird. So my phone cut out. My wireless has never died before. I'm now assuming I'm being monitored. But my next question was about what to do if you get bored to death or gored to death by a
Bored to
boar.
death by a boar.
Perfect timing on my part.
There's so much there. We forgot to ask if this is a secure line, and we fucked up at the beginning and lost Jamie.
This is true. Tim, I wanted to ask you.
NSA, stop listening to us. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, we're fine. We got this under control.
Yep.
Jesus. Nice. I have a bunch of like sort of dorky questions, but the first one I wanted to ask you, because I've heard you talk about this in interviews a lot, and I fucking love the way you talk about it, is when you talk about health, when you talk about either eating right or not drinking or getting proper sleep, I feel like usually when people are talking about it, it's in the context of like getting a summer beach bod. But when you talk about it, it's like, hey, if you want to lessen your chance of being fucking murdered, get your 8 hours. Don't be a drunk idiot. Be healthy. Do you, because it's something that's not talked about a lot, especially on like kind of tough guy or MMA podcasts. Do you think when it comes to self-defense, that aspect of it, the mental game and just how we take care of ourselves on sort of the day-to-day, is that something that people should be considering, even if they are training and shit like that?
Yeah, so for sure, you know, like I hate to throw Mike Perry under the bus, but our kind of mental faculties and how we deal with stress is a direct result of millions upon millions of little factors. You know, how much you slept, how much you've exercised, the relationship you have with, you know, your significant other, what your diet's been like, how much you've been drinking, how much you've been smoking, how much you've been training. All those millions of little tiny decisions are going to influence kind of performance and well-being. And it's like total human condition. You know, when you start letting one of those things slide, there's a slippery slope. So from a self-defense perspective, as a martial artist, like being physically fit is not just capability of like being able to like kick some serious butt, but from a total human perspective, it makes everything work better. Mm-hmm. And you know, your mind's going to work better. You're going to be able to not get pissed off if somebody touches you, Mike Perry. You're going to be able to deal with stress. You know, if you're in Las Vegas and on the 18th floor, a machine gun starts ringing out, you've been drinking, you've been smoking, you've been partying. I don't care if you're John Rambo, you're not going to be able to do much. You know, you're going to be limited as a human.
Right. And in fact, drunk John Rambo may even be a fucking danger. Like,
for sure.
That's not going to help.
Yeah.
Nope.
If he's like, I've been training for this, and he's fucking hammered at the roulette table. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you 2 examples in the past 48 hours.
Please.
That, no, it's not like kicking ass. So my son, he's 5. We were climbing up into a deer stand, and my buddy was flying an Augusta helicopter, this big, huge, multi-million-dollar helicopter, and he came in and buzzed us. My 5-year-old, so literally and figuratively and metaphorically, was swept away by the moment. He was like leaning into the helicopter because the rotor wash was so powerful that he was like leaning forward that he forgot gravity's a thing. So we're 30 feet up in a deer stand, and my 5-year-old's about to fall to his death. So I one-handed grab him and grab the railing of the deer stand, and I suspend my 215-pound, mostly hairy, trollish, ogreish, retarded ass in the air with a 55-year-old boy that, while a helicopter rotor wash is just shaking us and jostling us about. So that was 2 days ago.
Great.
Yesterday, and so like I trained for life, right? We're both fine. No, he did not fall to his death. I hung 30 feet in the air with one hand, holding on to a 5-year-old with the other hand. Right. So no, it wasn't like machine gun fire from a murderous asshole up in top in a hotel trying to kill people at a concert. But like it could also have been my son's life.
Sure.
Yesterday, I'm holding my 8-month-old daughter, and we just got out of the pool. We have like the stained, really fancy concrete around like the patio area, which looks beautiful, but it's also super slippery when you get wet.
Very slippery.
Yeah. And my 2 dogs, my wife opens the door and the dogs come barreling towards us. and one of them hits my leg, and I kind of get spun, and I'm holding my 8-month-old daughter. I'm going down. Like, this is happening. So it's like, do I take one for the team and be an athlete and see how this shakes out, or do I fall on my baby? And baby's fine. My body's a little beat up, but let's just say I'd had 2 drinks, or let's just say I got in a fight with my wife and I didn't get much sleep, or I hadn't trained this whole entire week. I just got done with a cool fight, had a great win, and now I'm taking a couple of months off and I'm just living it up, everything happened slower. My body would have responded slower. My joints and my muscles and nothing would have worked. And who knows how horrible that could have been. Like, imagine falling on top of a 220 pound or 250 pound dude falling on top of my baby after my dog runs my feet out.
Oh my gosh.
Or my kid slipping from my grips and falling and breaking his neck.
Right. Right, because you wanted to have some beers in the woods. So do you not drink when you go out? Do you not drink, or?
No.
This is the first thing that has convinced me not to drink. I've been trying in this stupid, filthy world of stand-up comedy to not drink because I don't even like it, but everyone's doing it. I'm like, this is the first time not drinking has sounded cool, where I'm like, I want to be vigilant.
Not just like the individual responsibility portion of it. One, if you're carrying a firearm, and I always am.
Right.
If you are .01, you're a liability, in my opinion. I don't care what the law says. If you have had a drink, you should not have a firearm.
Yeah.
To fly a helicopter, it's 8 hours after you've touched a drink for you to be able to fly. For just being a parent, being a protector. I'm not saying I'm anti-alcohol.
Totally, yeah.
I grew up in California on vineyards, and tonight I'm making this banging elk shepherd's pie. Like, I'm going to have a couple glasses of wine, but the kids are going to be in bed. The alarm is going to be on, and things are going to be controllable.
Right.
I had a really bad time in Afghanistan on one of my deployments.
Yeah.
And a bunch of real bad things had happened in the weeks prior. And I took 5 days, and I just sat there and I just drank bottle after bottle of whiskey. And again, to that, like, human, nothing was healing, right? Like,
Of course, yeah.
I was still hearing screams and pain and suffering. And if, like, diluting pain or postponing pain is not healing pain.
Right.
That is just delaying what is going to be an even worse onset of having to deal with that pain.
Yeah, man. People forget, like, it's a depressant. You know what I mean? Like, the times I've drank because I was depressed.
It's literally called a depressant.
Yes. Like, I don't.
Physiologically, it is a depressant.
What could possibly happen?
Yeah.
Like, I feel so happy. No, you don't. No, there might be a moment where you feel that way, but chemically, what is happening to your body physiologically is depressing your system.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done. I'm fucking done drinking. I'm gonna start saving people.
There was something I was trying to piece together, Tim, on your social media earlier this year, and maybe you can fill in the blanks, because you put just like one sentence hilarious descriptions, and I want to know, like, what the fuck is actually happening in this story. I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but during World War III, that didn't happen in February between Iran and the States, did you go over there to, like, stop it?
That would have been super cool. I was overseas already.
Okay.
When things were starting to shake down.
I felt
pretty much
that you did, though.
Everyone in the special operations community was more or less getting spun up to degrees of readiness, depending on what kind of unit you were in and what kind of job you do. None of you guys know what I do, so it doesn't matter. I was also spun up but I do, like, weird things, and but ended up working out. We just, dropped a bomb, so that was cool.
Hey, Jamie, are we just going to let him say weird things and not ask about it?
I'm not getting disconnected again. I'm like, if I fucking ask about it and my Wi-Fi goes out for the first time since I've lived here. No. I've crossed out, like, several questions that I was going to ask just because I want to.
They've been redacted.
Dude, I left LA for the mountains of Arizona so I could have a peaceful life, and I want to fucking keep it that way.
Yeah. Arizona, man, you guys are the nucleus of the COVID now.
I thought Jamie just being like hyperbolic about saying.
If Tim Kennedy, who's posting on Instagram about training, is saying, yeah, dude, it happened. I was so fucking good about quarantine because I am surrounded by the elderly. I just like live with retirees in the mountains. And so I self-fucking quarantined for 3 months. I was getting my stupid groceries delivered. I was spraying it with Lysol like an idiot and probably poisoning myself. And then 3 months later, I just like depression. I was like, I gotta train again. And the school that I was training at was being reckless, even by like I've heard you talk about COVID, Tim, and like you've actually kind of changed my mind on a couple of things, but I mean reckless to your standards, dude. Like day one lockdown, breaking the law, 30 people training, Instagram pictures, like all that shit. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to train there. I found a smaller gym that I was like, you know what? These guys are playing by the fucking rules. 10 people classes, taking temperatures. I was there for a day and like complete COVID outbreak. Everyone there got COVID. They had to shoot the gym. They had to shut the fucking gym down. So now I'm like, I don't know what to do, man. Like, because Arizona, we were the ones who were kind of like, we opened up a little early. We were kind of like, fuck the law. And then it is just a cesspool of COVID. So I'm just running empty trails right now.
Yeah. But I'm glad you're outside. That's good. I'm sure you've seen the studies about, people with vitamin D deficiency, and, of the fatalities, 90+% of them were vitamin D deficient.
Yeah.
Not to mention that they were obese. They don't exercise, and they're not outside. So there's my position on it has, like, I don't know why people it's rebellious, because it's so rational and logical. I'm just telling the individual to be healthy.
Right.
I'm like,
right.
if the individual is a healthy thing, everything about this outbreak is neutralized. Like there's no concern. If you could inject my body with COVID, and that stuff is going to be jumping out my pores and my sweat gland because it knows it's going to die here. Like the point of a virus is to spread. Like that is the point of it. And if it goes to a host that's like, oh shit, this is not going to do anything. Matter of fact, this host is going to kill me.
Yeah.
Like there's obviously we have outlier segments of marginalized communities that are very vulnerable to it. The elderly, immune disorders. So like 100% respect people trying to be extra careful with family members and neighbors like yourself. But we're missing the second and third order effects of how important it is to have the individual be strong, individual be healthy.
This is why I was so excited to talk to you about a host of these issues, but also, with tribalism, when it comes to social media, when it comes to the news media, if you're on the left, you follow these people, you watch this news network. If you're on the right, you follow these people, you watch this news network. And the fact that we even politicized
that's super dumb to do that, but
so dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah. But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I mean, I'm with you on that. And by the way, a lot of times then we're stopping ourselves from talking to people who may disagree with us in real life, where we could have a real conversation and we could actually find some gray area compromises that we agree on, because we're just in our fucking bubble, right? Where if we're on the right, every liberal is some like anarchist idiot. If we're on the left, every right winger is some fucking Nazi, and it's all hyperbolic and it's all fucking stupid. Even though that was hyperbolic, calling it all stupid. And with COVID, it was so interesting because the way social media worked, it either seemed like you were pro-job and pro-old people dying, or anti-economy and, not wanting old people to die. And then what wasn't getting talked about is exactly what you're saying, where you had people on both sides who were like, hey, open up sooner or close down more, who every time someone would talk about health or getting out in the sun, I mean, shit, I saw like one of my old liberal friends, when someone was talking about getting healthy and eating right, be like, you're fat shaming. And it's like, no, like that, people are fucking dying because of that stuff. And so that's why I love talking to people like you, because that sort of common sense middle ground, well, it's like, well, certainly we can all agree on we should get out in the sun, we should exercise. I mean, you didn't even mention all of the deaths of despair from suicide, depression, domestic abuse, things that were happening because everyone was locking themselves in their fucking sad apartment. I mean, if I wasn't getting out in the sun and running, which I don't even like running, I would have been one of those casualties. Like I deal with depression and suicidal things. So yeah, man, I'm really glad you're talking about that. And it's fucking ridiculous to see people get pushback on it.
Yeah. And we do, like the cancer culture. Yeah, I talk at the end of a live stream where me and like a family member and my best friend that I spend every single day with, like he is family. We're outside on a ruck and people are like, wait, what are you doing? Like, I gotta figure out who you people are, where you work, so I can get you guys fired because you're trying to kill old people. And I was like, oh, no, you're insane. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's like regardless of what side you're on, there's no logic, there's no rationale, and there's like, it could have not. How do you take a virus and make it a political issue?
Right.
I don't know how that's possible.
Right.
You know, like, and like, if you're not wearing a mask, you're trying to kill old people. And if you are wearing a mask, then you're a left Pelosi loving
A sheeple.
anti-economy.
Yeah.
Or a soy. I don't even
Soy
know.
boy.
I don't
Yeah.
even know all the coin.
Oh, I do.
I've
been called all of them. There's soy boy. There's cuck. There are some good ones. There are some really good ones out there.
I had a new one. I've been called a FUD a whole bunch.
Ooh,
is that like Elmer Fudd?
Yeah. So a FUD is a supposedly conservative, which I guess so I'm a staunch libertarian,
right.
Like down the line constitutionalist, rational logic approach to everything. Like, I don't care, smoke marijuana, wear a mask. I totally support and will fight for your right to do that. Protest, counter protest, whatever. You'll go. I'm all for you. Don't tell me what to do. You know, that's pretty much where I am. And the insanity of like there's not a way to deal with the amount of hate and rage that comes out of somebody just wanting to be in the middle and to be rational it's I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I mean I got off Twitter when you guys said FUD. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what that means, and I was so happy. Like,
yeah, so the FUD is a supposed conservative that doesn't that is not a true. So Elmer Fudd, he carried a gun, but he didn't know how to use the gun because he'd never get the rabbit.
Right.
So I'm evidently, like, even though I'm super pro Second Amendment, all of them, First Amendment, all of the amendments, like I'm pro all of them. I don't know how, but I'm anti one of them somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand.
You did start the interview by saying you were going to run over protesters, Tim.
No, I said to stay out of the road.
Oh, okay.
Start with all millennials and Gen Zs with the basic. Like, I learned, I think when I was 3.
Yeah.
If I walked into the road, I would get hit by my father.
Sure.
It's just the way getting hit by me was better than being hit by a car.
Sure.
And I agree with that.
I love the idea of you running over protesters and then screaming out the window, "I fought for your right to do that," and then stop.
No, I'm all about them protesting peacefully, but walking out into a freeway is a really dangerous way to do that. I'm just gonna,
dude. I mean, do that. I honestly think that, going back to what you were saying about talking to people who disagree with you, the amount of conversations ever since I sort of like left Twitter and this sort of like toxic part of the left and moved out of LA, that I've had with conservative gun owners, that I've had with cops, that I've had with liberal gun owners, that I've had. I feel like, honestly, and what you do, teaching people to be confident, not just self-defense, but to be confident. I honestly think that one-on-one interactions, trying to help people and or have conversations, rational conversations, even if you disagree, I at this point am like, that is more of an act of political defiance than just shouting at people on Twitter. I think if more people just had these fucking conversations, we wouldn't even need as many protests, because I
think it's so much braver
to have
yeah 100%. I agree with everything you're saying. But like living in an echo chamber, a vacuum of your own ideas, you know, it perpetuates and never grows an idea. You know, like, all it is this echo chamber of your own ideas in this circular vacuum that keep getting magnified and magnified and more extreme and more extreme. At no point are they ever challenged. At no point are they ever debated. At no point. And the thing when you do with a Twitter account, and I think the vast majority of people, they curate their own news feed to ideas that only agree with them. And that is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. Like, do I follow conservatives? Yes. Do I follow libertarians? Yes. Do I follow Elon Omar and Ocasio-Cortez? Absolutely. And Joe Biden? Absolutely. And President Trump? Absolutely. Because not only do they have an influence of what happens in my life, but their ideas are so conflicted and so conflicting that if I'm not aware of the arguments from both sides, then how can I rationally and logically generate my own independent ideas instead of echoing somebody else's bullshit ideas?
Right.
You know, and that's all that Twitter is.
Yep.
So like, if I'm gonna implore, like, I wish there was a requirement, like, hey, guess what? You need to have at least 1 or 2 people in the 400 people that you follow maybe not agree with your viewpoint, which might challenge what you think and then ultimately develop your ideas.
Yeah, this is a problem that not only do people perpetuate on themselves, but the algorithms of social media actually set you up to build your own echo chamber, because they try to show you things that they think that you'll like. That's the way that they're built, right? To get you to keep scrolling. So it's kind of like built into the system to build yourself your own little echo chamber. And then, of course, like you're saying, if you don't have the bravery to watch other people's opinions and start vetting them for yourself, then you'll only want to hear your own opinion echoed back at you. And that's where you're comfortable. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to hear what I already think, because that's right.
Yeah. That's super dumb.
Hey, I have a self-defense question, because I want to ask you a lot about sort of day-to-day situational self-defense, but I think before I ask any of my like born identity, I know where all the exits are questions, the more responsible one is, do people still teach that book, Tim? Did you ever read the Gavin DeBecker book, The Gift of Fear?
I have. Do people still cover it?
Yeah, like, because I mean, I read it like fucking 15 years ago, so I don't know if what I'm about to say is completely outdated, but essentially what I wanted to ask is, so if you guys aren't aware, so The Gift of Fear, the essential argument, the thesis is that if you are constantly in like this heightened stage of like terror, right? Like, oh my God, I'm going to be attacked at every angle, that you are blocking out your natural instinct and your natural defense mechanism. Like, we've all had moments where we go, I'm not going to walk down that street, and we might not know why, but it could be our intuition, which he calls the gift of fear, right? And so that's kind of what I've just subscribed to, because it was all I read on the topic. You also teach a bunch of really important practical tactical tools, and don't strike me as someone who is in this constant state of, you strike me as someone who's in a constant state of like preparedness, but not terror and anxiety. What is that kind of balance between being prepared for like a self-defense situation or being able to help someone and being alert, but also not being so paranoid, there's someone around every corner, I'm constantly in danger, that you might be clouding out some of your intuition to get the fuck out of there?
Yeah. I mean, I really subscribe to everything in paranoia and isolation. The only thing that develops from that is the Unabomber.
Right.
You know, living in fear is not only does it limit your ability to function, but it also negatively impacts how you're going to function.
Right.
Now, fear is a very powerful tool that can be used. But the only way that, if you're always afraid, there's no way that you can add more throttle to what you need to do. But the only way that you're going to do the right thing when you're afraid is through preparedness and through training. So the more that you prepare and the more that you train and the more disciplined that you are, then the better position you're going to be to actually respond when fear happens. And I don't care who you are. When, like, if you are Jason Bourne, or if you are John Rambo, or if you are a black belt UFC fighter that has been in special forces for 17 years, has been in a bunch of gunfights and been blown up in Iraq and Afghanistan and Africa, blah, 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 blah. You will still get scared when you're walking down the street and you're holding your wife's hand and somebody walks around the corner and says, hey, I need to talk to you. You know, like, what are you going to do in that moment is going to be dictated by, again, here we are again, to the millions of little decisions to include the discipline preparedness that is going to make me respond the proper way. So in Sheepdog Response, the company that I own, the training company that kind of covers a lot of this, we actually just released a situation awareness block of instruction. And we break things down into 4 A's.
Wait, real quick. Can people get this online?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, fuck
Yep,
yeah.
it is.
All right, cool.
Yeah. If you go to sheepdogresponse.com, go to, we have 2 different types of, there's virtual training and live training. Live training is
awesome.
you come and train with us. Virtual training is you learn from us virtually. And in those 4 A's, like, think about this constant circle. The first A is situational awareness. Awareness of both ourself. Like, I need to like the old Japanese know oneself as a warrior, right? Like, I need to know that my right knee is kind of busted, that I got 8 hours of sleep, that I didn't drink, that I haven't been smoking, that I have been training. I know my draw time from a concealed carry is 1.2 seconds. I know I have hollow point rounds in there. I know I have 15 bullets in there. I know I have a red dot. I know I have an extra magazine. I know I have a tourniquet. I know that I'm wearing boots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I'm wearing boots because it's out on the town with my wife. My wife's wearing heels. She's dressed to the nines. She's looking, those are all things that I'm just aware of. And then I'm aware of my surroundings around me. Like, I know I'm approaching a dark alley. I'm in a sketchy area of town. I just left a nice restaurant. I know where again, situation awareness.
And real quick, is that something that just at this point, it's almost more of a subconscious thing with you? Or for people listening who may want to start being more aware, is it something that, at least when you're not used to it, just like you drill a fucking armbar a million times, that you kind of have to, like, you run through that list a little bit, like while you're in the situation? Or is it just something that's kind of just in your peripheral, in your subconscious?
Yeah. So, I mean, we could talk about it like throttle or like bandwidth. So my available power in my brain is like a Corvette. To somebody that has never practiced or rehearsed these things, is like a 1991 Kia.
Right.
You know, it's but
Drew, did you tell them about my fucking Kia?
I didn't. The more you, just like anything, the more you train it, the easier it is and the more efficient it is for you to do. So, like, I can process tons. I mean, like, my brain, if I was at the Pulse nightclub dancing with my gay buddies and that dude walks in and starts shooting people, I know this sounds horrific, but the way my brain is wired now, everything for the first time in a really long time would be like, chill.
Right.
Because, like, that's how my brain is wired now, right? 16 years in special forces, 17 years as a professional fighter, like as a firefighter, EMT, police. Like, this is all I have done my whole entire adult life, and I grew up in this world.
Right.
So, my bandwidth, the available throttle for me to accelerate and be able to process tons and tons of information is a very, very high level. The person that's, they just get married, maybe they have a baby on the way, and this is the first time they're like, wait a second, I have to take care of these two. Like, it's on me. There's nobody coming. And that's the first time that they've thought about it. And they say, so I need to carry extra diapers. Yep, that's important. Do I need to carry 2 tourniquets now? Man, if you got 2 people with you, yes, you should. There was a long period of the time before I got married where, like, I was a hero for everything. Like, in a parking lot at a mall and a dude hits a girl, I'm going to go get into that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, bro, what's going to happen right now is you're going to get on the ground and we're going to wait for police officers to come over and make a citizen's arrest because I'm a nosy Nancy and you're an asshole and you need to go to jail. If I have an 8-month-old in the back and my wife,
then
I'm not be getting.
You're gonna let Perry walk this one.
Yeah. He might get a day in the sun. He might not. But that's all stuff that's going to be processed in my mind pretty efficiently and effectively. But the only way you get good at this is by practice. So we teach a very systematic approach. We go to a school called SOFSAT, Special Operations Awareness Techniques, Special Operation Forces Situational Awareness Techniques. Yeah, there it is, SOFSAT. And it's an 80-hour course, two weeks of learning how to think, to be aware of your surroundings. That's just the first day.
This is all I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
And we have 4 A's. the first one's awareness, the second one's assessment, and then you have action. And that's what you practice as a martial artist is like, what am I going to do when this moment arrives? And you have to spend tons and tons and tons of time to make that the right thing. But the only way that you're going to be successful in number 3, there's a reason that you're 3/4 of the way through this, is because if you don't do the first 2 things right, you're already so far behind the power curve that it's going to be difficult. You know, like I don't know how often you guys train like weapons defense. You know, but like if you're trying to grapple and I threw a knife down between you and your partner, every millisecond that you wait, it's going to be harder for you to win that fight.
Right.
So we say the best time to go is now, and the second best time to go is right now. You know, and the third best time is now, and the fourth, like the sooner you go, the better chances you're going to have. Well, that goes with your mental faculties as well. You know, the faster you get that thing going, and the sooner you commit to what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, is the higher chance of success. And this has been proven. These are not new thoughts. Like Tim Kennedy did not come up with this. This is like patent era stuff. You know, like this is the art of war, Sun Tzu shit. And you know, we're just putting it into current day.
Be honest, it was Alexandria Cortez. You saw her tweet about it, and it was her idea, wasn't it?
She is wicked smart, though.
Well, so to tie that into jiu-jitsu, so Drew and I have been training forever. I've been training for like 12 years. Drew, I think a little bit longer. Have you noticed when you've done, because I haven't done any weapons training whatsoever, have you noticed that even when you train high-level jiu-jitsu guys and it's a playful or a drilling situation or a plastic gun or a fake knife, that even someone who is trained for as long as us, suddenly we look like white belts again, where there's that nervousness, there's that, just because it's such an unfamiliar and like very high risk situation? Or is it still pretty easy to pick up? You just got to drill it a lot.
It's a really sharp learning curve, but how fast you turn that is so much more, it's so much shorter. You know, like if I was like, all right, guess what? For the next week, we are going to start, I'm going to throw a shock knife. I'm going to have a chalk knife. I'm going to have a plastic gun. And by the end of the week, I'm going to be throwing a simunition gun down there. That's a gun that shoots little paintballs.
Oh my God.
And you guys are going to figure it just in your regular roll session. And, you know, maybe day 1 to day 2, you get zapped a couple of times. Day 3, you get a couple of chalk marks. But man, by day 5, like you guys would be eating people alive, because just the level and awareness of where you need to be and what you need to use.
Right.
You know, you're gonna be like, oh man, side control or half guard is now pretty awesome because I get an extra contact point and I can isolate arms a little bit easier. And then you're gonna be like, do you know what? Diving for like a deep half where I'm going to start going to leg attacks. Super bad idea because this dude's going to shoot me in the face.
That's where Tim brings out his whip off his back and starts.
Yeah.
This is great. I've always wanted reasons not to drink and not to play deep half. So this interview has been the fucking greatest for me.
Man, so I was we were in New York, and I mean, some sick black belts came down. And all of our instructors, Matt Smith, Dennis Jones, myself, Travis Joyner, all black belts, real high-level competitive dudes. And we're grappling, and I drop a gun between one of these very, 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 I'm not going to throw him under the bus because you guys will all know his name because he is a very high-level competitive guy, still on the competition circuits. And he like rolled down to do a footlock and was like, I don't need the gun. And my buddy picks up this gun and he's literally tapping this dude on the forehead with the barrel of the gun. Not like being mean. He's just like, and it still wasn't even registering.
Wow.
The guy's like, I gotta get this.
Hold on, bro. I just about got the heel hook. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
And he's still like tapping him, and he like looks up and he like looks at the dude and my buddy, and then you see the focal shift from my buddy's face to the blue gun, and his eyes get so wide, and his pupils are like, I mean, they're like absorbed the whole entire iris, and you see like complete shock, like cannot process what is happening right now, and he's like, "Holy shit!" And I was like, "Yeah, holy shit, man, you got it." And he's like, "Yeah, I got it." But I
if
tell you
we
what,
have
the next day he was a handful.
Yeah, yeah. If we have anybody listening who doesn't do jujitsu and is one of those guys that walks around in tactical pants and has a gut that hangs over, but he carries 3 guns, he's so happy right now. He's like, I told you I didn't need to train, motherfucker.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that guy is a coward, and both of you guys would kill him in a heartbeat, even with his 3 guns.
Okay, sweet. I'm so happy now. Now I don't need
So
to
you-
worry about
so-
guns anymore, right?
So,
That's how
so
that
Tim,
works?
you stand by that, because I've heard you say that on other interviews where there are lots of jujitsu coaches, and I mean, again, I think both of these ideas can hold true. Where it's like, look, if someone tries to start a fight with me, like, I'm getting the fuck out of there. Ever since I started training, and there have been plenty of reasons to fight me. Like, no one has. I do believe that there is a way even smaller guys like me carry themselves either in a friendly manner, in a confident manner, where, yeah, people don't fuck with you as much. But what you just said, I think, was really great, because a lot of jujitsu people will also kind of throw jujitsu under the bus when it does come to self-defense. And obviously, you have to be careful. You have to worry about your environment. I don't want to go to the ground if there's glass on the ground, if that guy might have buddies, et cetera, et cetera. But I really have heard you stand up for jujitsu, like even in, joking hypotheticals like this, about how if you do train, you absolutely have an advantage, are far more likely to be able to protect somebody or protect yourself.
Yeah, don't dilute it. I'm not just kind of saying. I'm absolutely saying that if you train jujitsu, you have a superpower over anyone else in self-defense.
I'm quoting
So like
that.
like everybody else is going to be moving as if they're stuck in molasses in the winter, and you are going to be so better prepared, both mentally and physically, to do whatever the hell you want to this person. But most importantly, you'll be able to protect yourself and those that are important to you.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is a superpower, period. I've trained everything. Look, like I'm 40 years old. I started martial arts when I was 4.
Jesus.
For 36 years, I went from Shotokan karate to taekwondo to Japanese Jacaré Jiu-Jitsu. Then I did Jikudo, and then I went to Hawaiian Kempo.
Yep.
I know, we're sort of nerds. You're a nerd.
I know. Kali and Silat on Tuesday and Thursdays. Yep.
Yeah. But it is a superpower.
Yeah. Well, so I have a question about that. So when you train people, because it's cool, like I see you training in the gi. I'm more of a no-gi person, and I always kind of subscribe to no-gi, like being more realistic for self-defense. But like I see you going like, you put the gi on, you train a lot still. When you're teaching people, or for, a ton of white belts and blue belts listen to this show, jiu-jitsu is a superpower, right? Dope. Got it. With the situational problems and obstacles that can occur in a street fight, in a bar, in an actual street, what are your kind of go-to, either when you're training in the gym or when you're thinking about a self-defense situation? What is your ideal, and obviously it's going to be different, but tactics comparing, the guy who did a footlock when there's a gun, or more practical jiu-jitsu for a self-defense situation?
Run.
Get the fuck out of there, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, let's summarize. When I was 8, my dad was having me go into parking lots to break into drug dealers' cars to find out who their names were. My dad stole a plane full of cocaine from Pablo Escobar when I think I was 16.
Wait,
and
back up. Holy shit. Say that again?
Yeah, we'll just keep going. My dad stole a plane full of cocaine from Pablo Escobar. And I remember going in and to the warehouse, and he and all of his friends have MP5 machine guns. And I went there to bring them dinner. And, I'm now 18.
Sure.
I'm an EMT firefighter. Van rolls over. There's 17 bodies strewn across the highway. 13 of them are dead. I'm 18.
At this point, by the way, all I've done in my life is try to see tits on the scrambled out Playboy channel and smoked fake weed that someone gave me oregano and said it was pot. That's those were my bad boy moments from 16 to 18. Go on.
So by 40, Special Forces for 16 years, a professional fighter for 17 years. I will run from a fight in a heartbeat. you know,
Okay.
and that's not going to hurt my ego. That's not, you spit in my face, you know, like after I apologize for whatever I said, as I'm backing up, hoping that you forgive me, then let's see if you can catch me as I run. You know, you pour a drink over my head, I'm buying you another drink before I leave the bar.
Right.
You know, like, and because with all of the given gifts that martial arts gives you and self-defense gives you and training and preparedness gives you, it also gives you the responsibility to be a good person. And being a healthy person, both physically and mentally and spiritually, I think makes you so much better prepared to dealing with what life throws at you.
Yeah.
You know, to include assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple things on that. First, a story, and then a question. The story was, speaking of obscure martial arts, I wanted to throw in there that I definitely.
Oh, I was gonna be
for a
like,
couple of
God damn
years.
it! Do you have a pop story too? And I'm the fucking loser over here.
Everybody
Without...
does. Yeah. Dude, if he was flying cocaine to Canada, that's a story that never got covered.
That's true.
So when I was taking Cali, I actually trained under a grandmaster from the Philippines for a couple of years, who was like the grandmaster of his style. He'd been doing it for like 70 years. He was ridiculous. And I remember asking him like the typical newbie, being like, so somebody actually comes up to you on the street, what are you gonna do? Expecting like this awesome move that he's hiding and not showing me yet. He's like, I would run. It's like, anytime. And he's like, even if you have a knife on you, because we practice knives, we're really good at that, right? He's like, yeah, I would definitely run. And he's like, I've had students down in the Philippines that were murdered because they decided they were going to be the better knife fighter that day. Like, if you can run, you don't have to worry about that. And so I guess the follow-up question is the 100-meter dash actually a martial art?
It should be.
Usain Bolt might be the master then, right?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, think about how hard it would be to get in a fight with Usain Bolt.
That's a great
like, the dude's super cool. He's super happy. He's super fun. He's like always smiling. You know, he's healthy. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. So like, first, his disposition is one that diffuses tons of fights. And then two is like, if you want to tee off on him, you're like, dude, guess what? I got Mike Tyson. There's no way Mike Tyson can fucking catch Usain Bolt. You know, come on. He could jump on top of him in a dark alley, and Usain Bolt's like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah. I think that's so interesting that you put like kindness on the list, because it's so true, where a lot of times the people posturing the most, right? Like the biggest dickheads in the bar, it's like they're the ones who have never been punched in the mouth before. You know, they've never been in fights before. And like a lot of times it's kind of the cool, chill ones that, you know, it might be a problem.
Yeah. When I first got to Special Forces, you know, like I'd been a competitive shooter. I was a professional fighter. I thought I was the bee's knees. And I heard my team sergeant, I had this guy, Shane Thompson, and he was the most senior dude in the team, next to the team leader, the team sergeant. And he never said anything. You know, like, we got a bunch of barrel-chested freedom fighters, you know, and he's like, hey, if we're getting ready to go on our first trip, you know, like, if shit really hits the fan, look for the calmest, quietest dude in the room, because like that dude, he's about to like trim the bob wire and start scalping people. You know, like that's who that dude is. The loud, obnoxious, tough guy. Like, you don't need to worry about that guy.
Yeah.
That quiet, calm dude in the corner, go tie in with him.
Dude, the first time
he's going to be wearing scalps.
Yeah, the first time I went on Rogan's, I said that, where when you go to a UFC event, like the big fat dude in the tap out shirt, nothing to worry about. The quiet guy with the gnarly ears reading a book by himself. I'm like, don't fuck with that guy.
Don't even look at him. Just don't even look at him.
Let him read his book. He's just trying to read in peace.
No.
Jamie, I know you got a couple of questions left. I've got one before you get to your political one and the one that I don't like.
I got 11 minutes.
Okay, great. We got it. This is easy.
Okay.
I just want one real quick story out of you. So you did a series on, I believe it was a History Channel or something like that, that was called Hunting Hitler. Now,
screw that asshole.
I know, he was the worst. I'm a big fan of World War history. I love reading about it. I always
didn't say you're a huge fan of Hitler, because
that was a
the end of the
bad
call.
lead in.
Yeah, that's why we say that's why we save the Hitler questions for the end, Tim.
Okay.
Hop in a helicopter to
Sorry, go on.
So I was just curious, for people who want to watch the series, they can check it out. There's conspiracy theory that was going on for ages and ages that Hitler didn't die in the end of the Second World War and he in fact fled to South America. Now, when you were making this series, is there like a behind the scenes story that never made the cut that you found really interesting?
Well, one, we were working on a third season that ultimately, like as we said earlier on this podcast, we're talking about alt-right and Nazis. That word is used pretty frequently and inaccurately.
Yes.
Being a dude that has literally followed Nazis, second and third generation Nazis all over the world, you bitches don't know what Nazis are, and they're evil.
Yeah.
Yes, we have some here, and I hope they also burn in hell. But so one of the most frightening things. So History Channel said it was so controversial and so current. There's families and there's money that come from grandparents that should have been hung after Nuremberg.
Yeah.
And it is still that relevant. And there's organizations that were founded by Nazis that are still legitimate political parties that are operating all over the world. Anyways, they didn't let us make the third season, but the first season we were being followed. We had to control our food and water because we thought that we were going to be poisoned, and we were confronted numerous times. I've been talking about dudes with swastikas on their neck, iron crosses, and and the Nazi palms, because their grandpa fought in North Africa, and they're like, hey, what you need to do is pack up your bags and leave. And holding machetes, dudes on mopeds, cutting us off and essentially ambushing us in like the jungles of Argentina, Misiones, and being like we can't air that stuff, because every person that's on that show, they have to sign a waiver allowing them to be on there. So like I can't, especially if we're going to use their audio, like their voice, like we don't own their voice and I don't own their face. History Channel definitely doesn't. And History Channel will be sued if we use that footage. But on numerous occasions, like we're legitimate. Mike Simpson, he's a Special Forces guy. Juan Cervantes, another Special Forces guy, myself, like we're being followed. It takes about 2 blocks for us to identify that we're being followed, and then like 2 days later, we're like, yep, that dude's still following us. And then we roll out to the jungle and a bunch of mopeds roll up and they have machetes. And they're like, you guys need to get on a plane and get out of this country. Those were, you'll really solidify what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I mean, not only the cool, sensational story of what happened to Hitler,
Sure.
but the bigger picture is the context of those ideas that still survive.
Yeah.
And that is the most frightening thing to me. Like, the dude's dead. He died a long time ago, whether he died in a bunker, he died of old age in Argentina. I don't care. He's dead. I want his ideas to die.
Right.
And
Right.
what I saw was a perpetuation of those ideas that were even more flagrant and rampant in a second and third generation. It was frightening.
Well, Drew, I can't ask my goddamn relationship advice question after talking about the extermination of Hitler ideas. So I'll ask my political question instead, and you can come back on because I want your relationship advice. Again, when we're talking about tribalism with certain issues, if you go online, it seems like you either have to be pro-cop, which means you hate black people, or, if you're for Black Lives Matter, that means you hate cops. And I think, again, the majority of people are not racist and realize that all cops aren't, the man who killed George Floyd.
Who's an asshole?
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
even,
all right, go on. We all agree.
No, but Tim, I got to say, dude, you saying that is actually really important because I'm telling you that there are a lot of people. And even when I heard you say that guy was an asshole on I think on Aubrey's podcast, I was like, oh, thank God, because we are so fed this one side or the other that I think a lot of people would assume that if you're super pro-military, pro-cop, that means you're going to find a way to stick up for this guy who was a fucking asshole.
No.
Like, and what I try to say is I think that if you are in the military, if you are a cop, it's almost like you saying that is so much more important than me saying that, because it's like, man, if I'm a good cop and I see that bullshit, I'm going to be infinitely more outraged than any leftist is, because that's making my entire profession look terrible. So if you have any thoughts to add to that, feel free. But what I did want to ask you, as someone who is experienced with military, who trains with law enforcement, who has probably trained law enforcement, and who is on the right side of this fucking case and thinks that's ridiculous, where do you stand on, what do you think the solution is with police? Because we have seen, obviously there are good cops out there, but we've also seen a lot of senseless violence from either racism or just being unprepared. What do you think the move is right now?
I think the solution to being unprepared and to racism is training. So it's a really cool thing. The further you get up the tip of the spear, the less assholes you find. When you get, like, I'm not saying that me and all of my colleagues are colorblind, but like, we only care about performance-driven matrix, and like, everything is merit-based. You can do it or you can't do it. And at this point, the people that can't do it have burnt away, and the assholes have burnt away. So the two things that I think are absolutely necessary to fix the problem of both racism and this ongoing occurrence of police brutality is training and selection. So selection is, we're picking the right people.
Right.
The right people need to be in these jobs. And sometimes the majority of the people that are applying are not the right people. You know, like that kid in the inner cities of Chicago, that is the kid that should be patrolling the inner cities of Chicago.
Fuck yes.
You know,
Yes.
Not the dude that grew up in suburbia, Illinois, you know, and he was a wrestler and, you know, dropped out his junior year.
Right.
Like, that dude should not be patrolling in, you know, like the rough areas of Chicago.
Right.
And I also don't want to belittle the problem with what is also happening in the inner cities of Chicago or in all other inner cities, right? Like, we have to identify, like, kids that are raised in without a male figure in the house have a 7 times higher chance of ending up in prison, have a 12 times higher chance of being on drugs, have a 14% higher chance of dropping out of high school. So,
which,
like,
by the way, going to your libertarian heart, it's like so much of that is from the war on drugs and nonviolent drug offenders and arresting them.
Yep.
And that's another thing that doesn't get talked about, is you get people who instead they don't want to talk about the George Floyd murder. So they go, well, what about black on black crime? Just because they don't want to hear about it. And it's like, is that a problem? Absolutely. But are there still political solutions where it's like, yeah, we've locked up the majority of fucking people, so a lot of those dads are in jail and the kids are raised. Maybe some people are fucking afraid to call the police because it's not the people that you said should be patrolling the neighborhoods. It's the guy who fucking killed George Floyd storming into their, like, there are so many solutions that we don't talk about because we're just trying
and it's the 21st century. We have the most complex species ever to exist on this planet. Guess what? We can handle more than one solution at a time.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
we can address black on black crime, and we can address police brutality and state
100%.
violence. And we can also address training and selection. And I think those are the two things. Training, they've got to get more of it. So if you work 4 days a week as a cop, you need to train at least 25% of that time.
Nice.
Like, you know this. Like, if you are a white belt and you come in and you're a cock strong, you think, like, how long does it take for that person to, like, the asshole get burnt out of them?
Very
it's about but just a few minutes of live rolling, and that ego's gone, that asshole's gone, and then there's the new position of humility and a desire to learn. And that's there's only a couple of ways to condition a human to do that, and that's training. And they're saying, you're going to train racism out of somebody? Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm going to kick them in the dick enough times that the only thing, like, the point of a refiner's fire is you're pounding out the impurities. And that's what training is. You know, it is literally sweating out, and in that refiner's fire, the chaff in the wind, that bad stuff is going to blow away. The only thing that's left is the good stuff. And the only way you can do that is with selection and training. You got to get law enforcement to do it.
Yeah. All right.
That's more funding. That's not defunding. That's more funding.
It's just it's proper funding. You know, it's putting it towards the right the right causes. Well, listen, man, we know you got to go. We could talk to you fucking anytime. I'm going to find a way to come to Austin and do this fucking training shit with you. 100%.
You'll love it. You'll love it. I'll have it waiting for you.
All right, cool, man. I've never shot before, and I've literally only been to anti-gun rallies. I'm very excited.
Cool. We'll be good friends.
All right, brother.
Awesome.
Can't wait. Talk
Take
soon.
care.
See ya.